All right, I think let's get started. We've got a little bit under 30 people here, so we'll kick things off. And I know more people will be joining. We had a little over 100, I think, RSVP'd for this, and we should get about half of what we have RSVP'd. So welcome everyone to A2NewTech. Thanks for joining us another month for another virtual A2NewTech. I'm the usual host of the meetup, David Nesbitt, but tonight my friend Hein Lam is actually going to be hosting, and for his first time. So definitely give a warm welcome, maybe over a chat message or an email later to Hein. But I'm going to hand things off to him in a second. But I just want to tell you a little bit about Hein before he jumps in and leads us through the meetup. So Hein, it's pronounced like the ketchup without the Z. So Hein, he's been a friend of mine for several years now. After meeting him kind of through the Ann Arbor Tech community and seeing him around a lot. I used to see him a lot in Ruse Rose. And he's the chief prophecy fulfiller at Huck Finch, which is a strategic design studio that breathes life into brands that are struggling to communicate their uniqueness. In addition to running Huck Finch, he also co-hosts the Life on Brand podcast and the Bourbon and Brand Show, which is a digital web series where he geeks out on all things brand while sipping on America's only native spirit. Already learned something new tonight. So that's a little bit about Hein. Interesting facts, he was temporarily ordained as a Buddhist monk after high school, and he has visited the South Everest Base Camp, which I didn't know, and I recently read a book on Everest, so I would be definitely need to talk to you more about that, Hein. So with that, I'm going to hand things over to Hein, and he's going to lead us through tonight's meetup.
All right. Well, thank you for that introduction, David. And first of all, I want to say how excited I am to be hosting the A2NewTech meetup. It's been a meetup that I've really enjoyed myself going to and attending over the past couple of years. So I'm really grateful to David for spending the time to get me ramped up, but also to Brian and the other organizers for giving me this opportunity to represent this meetup that means a lot to this community. And I want to thank everybody else here too, and for bearing with me as I get my feet under me over the next couple of sessions. And so I'll go ahead and kick off our responsibilities as an organizer by doing a quick poll just to see who's out there. We like to do this because we want to be able to provide a space for our community to connect with each other and do big things and put Ann Arbor on the map. So the poll we're going to do tonight is kind of get a sense of who's out there in the audience. So I'm going to turn on the polling now and give you guys a minute or so to kind of share what you do. Launch the poll. And maybe for the next 60 seconds, please feel free to share what you do. Cool. We got 21 out of 22 people. I don't know if I'm the last person on that hasn't voted, but. All right. Out of curiosity, can anybody else see the poll at the moment? Yeah, there we go. Share the results.
Oh, there we go.
There we go. So mostly wanted to start a venture. That's awesome. Very excited about that. Can't wait to see what you guys are rolling out. A lot of entrepreneurs, software developers. That's great. Some marketers. That's awesome. Got an investor and some others in here. So this is awesome. Thank you everybody for taking the time to fill out this poll. Again, we want to do this to kind of be able to kind of like connect you guys. Another really great way to kind of connect is through the Slack channel. If you didn't know we had that, it's the link is madeina2.com/Slack. If you go there, you can sign up for the community and be a part of there, and you can do, share announcements in there, and connect with each other. And we're going to do a quick thank you and then jump into the pitches tonight. So firstly, I want to thank A2 Geeks, Roger Rails, co-organizers, the Entrepreneurship Clinic at U of M's Law School, and Ann Arbor Spark. And again, I just want to thank David again because he's been such a great support and investing time and energy to ramp me up and continue to give me his time to help me out tonight and watching out for spammers. because we don't want that. So, all right, so we'll jump into the agenda. I think everybody's, if you've been to A2NewTech before, you're familiar with this. But for those who this is your first time, welcome. We're gonna keep this short and sweet tonight. Go to about 7:30. We're gonna have 3 awesome startups pitching tonight. They're gonna do 5-minute pitches. We're gonna give 5 minutes for Q&A. For the Q&A session, please feel free to just type it into the chat, and the pitcher themselves can read them off, and I could try to read them too, but the pitchers catch them before me. They can answer them. And we'll go into community announcements at the very end of the pitches. And then at the very end there, if you want to stick around, we'll be breaking out into breakout rooms for people to just chat and get to know each other a little more. All right. So with that, all the announcements out of the way, we're going to go get into our pitches. I'd ask all the presenters to start a 5-minute timer for themselves to be able to track the time. I'll be tracking it as well and kind of giving a 1-minute warning sign when we get to that point. And with that said, I'd like to kind of like go through our lineup tonight. We have Mixr with Naman Gupta and Crede Strauser. We have Scott Turner with Kibosh and Robert Alexander with Breastscape. And we're going to kick things off with Mixr with Naman Gupta and Crede Strauser. Mixr is a mobile application that serves as a platform for drink customization and online ordering for Nightlife venture patrons. So, and I'm going to spotlight Crede. And whenever you guys are ready, feel free to kick things off.
Cool. So I'm hoping everyone can hear me. Hi, everyone. I'm Naman. I'm going to be a senior here at the University of Michigan this year, and Crede just graduated from Michigan earlier this year. Crede and I are super excited to be pitching Mixr to you all. So before we jump into our app, I'm going to go over a bit of the backstory of the idea and why it's well tailored to the nightlife scene that we're targeting. And then Crede is going to walk you through the platform and our next steps in the near future. So what prompted our idea initially is a few of our own observations about the local nightlife scene, especially the inevitability of waiting in disorderly lines and the feeling of competing for a bartender's attention when trying to order, as well as the tendency to order the same simple, repetitive, standard drinks, no matter what venue we went to. When we dug into this a bit deeper, we found out that there were some related issues on the flip side. Many bars had offerings that weren't very visible to their average patron, and a lot of venues compete with each other largely on the basis of price discounting and specials. So what we realized is that these issues together result in a compromise for both parties. So to address this unrealized value for both parties, we created Mixr, an app that improves the ordering and the customization experience, providing value to both venues as well as their customers. So Mixr targets the problem at its root rather than its symptoms. Mixr addresses waiting times and convenience for consumers and allows venues to make their offerings more visible and accessible to their patrons. In turn, this enables venues to sell higher volumes and drinks with higher margins. Also, Mixr does not distract from customers' experiences while trying to enjoy a night out, nor does it require a venue to significantly overhaul its existing workflows or point-of-sale systems. We intend for users to primarily be using the customization feature at their leisure, so that the element of customizing a drink doesn't interfere while they're out at a venue. Mixr also addresses a specific niche within the nightlife space, but it's one that everyone seems to be experiencing. And so we're also confident that with growth over time, we have the potential to expand into new benefits and new features. Most of our traction so far has been along the lines of customer discovery and research, both on the end user side, which are the customers, as well as the venue side, which would be our business partners. We've been confirming some of our hypotheses through these interviews, and we've been getting a lot of valuable feedback from both venues and customers and developing valuable relationships in the process. We've also started to schedule usability tests for our mobile app. Crede is now going to go over our app and our next steps.
All right, thanks, Naman. So informed by this research that he discussed and conversations, we began prototyping our vision for Mixr to give life to both of our core value propositions that were discussed. We started with low fidelity wireframes and later arrived at these higher fidelity wireframes that are functional and allow usability testing. So these are the things you see on the screen now. And Mixr intends to place everything local bars and nightclubs have to offer in the palm of your hands. The customer app delivers each participating venue's complete menu of alcohol and mixing ingredients you need to create something tasty. Users can experiment with new mixes at any time or put something new together on the fly. Venues can easily update their menu at any time via the merchant portal, and Mixr is designed to integrate with the leading POS and inventory management platforms to ensure what you order is actually in stock and available. Once you finish mixing, we offer you the opportunity to give your creation a name and save it to a list to order again later. From our second value proposition, Mixr makes it effortless to order and pay at your favorite venues. With the Mixr Balance, you get a reloadable digital card that can be used at all participating venues. If you're familiar with the Starbucks app, then you already know how to pay with Mixr. We're also planning for in-app tipping to allow users to instantly recognize good service and the ability to directly charge attached payment methods when reloading the balance isn't convenient at the time. Additionally, split payments are built right in, which means no more awkward Venmo requests. We're excited about the progress we've made and where we're headed. The timeline here indicates where we came from back in January with identifying and validating our problem statements to building and testing the advanced prototypes today. As we continue forward, we're looking to bring on a technical co-founder, likely someone from within the U of M community, to assist with development of the mobile app, wrap up and review the insights from our consumer usability test, and begin to build out the merchant portal prototype as development of the consumer app gets underway. All right, so it's been a pleasure getting to present to you all this evening. We want to thank Hein and A2NewTech and all of you all for being here this evening. But we shared piqued your curiosity. We're looking for things like mentorship in the business-to-business selling strategy space, and with help on software testing and guidance on UI and UX. Additionally, we continue to build out a network of bar staff and management in the Ann Arbor area and would appreciate any connections that you might have. If you're interested in chatting, we'll obviously be hanging around after in the breakout rooms and provided our contact information here if you're interested in reaching out that way. Thanks again.
All right, that's really awesome, guys. Thank you so much for sharing tonight, Naman and Creed. So I'm going to start the timer for 5 minutes. If there are any questions that folks have for the two of them, feel free to type them in and they'll answer them starting now. I guess I'll start kick things off. The question I have for you guys is like, how did you come about like deciding to do something with Mixr?
Yeah, great question. So it's actually funny. A lot of kind of what we mentioned is just from our own experiences as college students, kind of being in the local nightlife scene. I'm also a DJ in the area, so I've gotten to kind of just get to know some of the problems that a lot of the bar staff tend to be having. And we figured that, you know, those two things are very parallel with each other. And so figuring out a way to kind of solve both ends of the issue seemed pretty logical.
I would also add on that we like considered too, once we kind of identified the problems, we were looking at like existing like behaviors that happen, like we were mentioning how like this shouldn't be something that interferes with the experience that different venues are trying to offer, but we also thought about existing interactions that folks have, like especially in our demographic that we're targeting within like the young professional, young adult and college student demographic, and like what experiences they're familiar with, things like mobile ordering through Chipotle and Starbucks and all that. So they're kind of like becoming more common, especially with that age group, to use those types of user interactions. So we thought it was a good extension.
Yeah, awesome. So we have a few questions in here for you guys, starting with Jason. How do you know where the patron is located?
That's a good question. So what we're working on is not something where like you are going to have like a beverage delivered to your table. I know like in high school I worked at Panera Bread and we had a thing where like we would deliver to the table because they had these little pagers that like told us where they were in the store. But what we're doing is going to be more like if you have been to like a Chipotle or a Starbucks mobile pickup area, it's a specifically designated area with your pickup item clearly indicated. Obviously, since we're dealing with alcohol and there's the concerns around tampering, we're looking at like additional ways to make sure that that's secure and people's health and safety is prioritized.
Okay. Robert is, I think, is jokingly asking, can I order a drink for delivery to my home? He lives in Detroit, so, so I think we all know the answer there. Roger's asking, how has COVID-19 affected your plans?
I can take that one as well. Not too much yet. If anything, we were able to get even more kind of advanced over the last 3 or 4 months, 2 or 3. I lost track of the whole COVID time frame, but been able to kind of like advance the prototyping process and usability testing and other types of conversations that we've had. So I think like with that regard, it's been helpful, but of course it's going to impact us as we move from this stage and get closer and closer to approaching venues and trying to get them to partner with us on something that's obviously brand new to this industry. And they're also going to be handling issues around limited capacity and distancing and that kind of thing in like a nightclub that doesn't even have tables and is like a dancing setting is going to present some challenges that will obviously affect our timeline where we'll kind of, it'll be out of our control and we'll just have to adjust as we can.
Okay. And I think we have time for maybe another question, and there's 3 left. Feel free to, actually 4. So feel free, like Naman and Crede, to respond to it in chat as we move on to the next pitch. But for the last question that we have time for right now, are you interested in expanding beyond Ann Arbor?
Yeah, absolutely. Our kind of idea right now is to start within Ann Arbor just because kind of the personal connections that we have, it might be easier to get a test and a rollout ready. But the idea is really to expand geographically outward, but primarily with college town pockets. So I think a pretty natural next step might be trying to target East Lansing, maybe some of the bars in Ypsilanti, and then kind of move outward from there, kind of wherever we're able to form some partnerships and relationships.
Awesome. Cool. So again, thank you, Naman and Crede, for presenting Mixr tonight. And feel free to reach out to them if you want to offer them some support with mentorship or UX or some of the other things that they have. And if you can support them, that'd be awesome. And guys, feel free to respond to Brian, Jasmine, and Steve's question in the chat. I personally would be interested in knowing the answers to those questions as well. With that, we'll move on to Scott Turner, who is going to share with all of us Kibosh. Kibosh is a new paradigm in residential internet security and parental control, a wireless router that produces a fast, family-safe internet with 0 configuration necessary. So Scott, I'm going to spotlight you, and we are ready to start whenever you are.
Everybody see that okay?
I do not see your screen. I see.
Share. How about now?
We do now. Yeah. There you go.
Hi, everybody. My name is Scott Thompson. I am the co-founder and lead developer of Kibosh, Internet Security and Parental Controls. Our product is a new paradigm in residential internet security and parental controls. It's a wireless router that instantly produces a family-safe internet right out of the box. Our product solves 3 core problems. A raw internet connection is no place to raise a family because pornography and malware is so rampant, it's nearly impossible to avoid. Problem 2, parents lack the tools to easily monitor and control internet activity if and when they need to. And problem 3, consumers lack insight into what is going on with their LAN, with their internet, which is the cause of much frustration when things don't go right. How it works: customer buys a Kibosh wireless router, comes with a lifetime warranty. Customer installs Kibosh router, we will help them. And at that point, setup is complete, the internet is now protected, family safe, and you have full control over all devices. Step 3, you log into the global dashboard, which I'm going to show you from any browser anywhere in the world to manage the Kibosh solution. And step 4, optionally, you can install Kibosh on a mobile device, Android, iOS, Windows. We protect Wi-Fi and carrier internet, which is pretty rare. This is the global dashboard. You can see what's connected. You see all the devices connected to your router. You see their internet speed, which is valuable information. You can stop, start, schedule internet access. and you can view real-time activity logs. There's a little bit more, but this is the nutshell all in one page. And of course, the internet is always family safe. Safe search is enforced. There'll never be pornographic images, bad websites blocked, and we powered by cloud-based servers, so it's fast, instant updates, and this is what our customers really like. Product status, Kibosh 1.0 took us a while to develop. We've sold 600 of those units. We stopped selling those in 2017 to focus on Kibosh 2.0, which is a complete rebuild. That's what we're talking about today. And we are just now selling those beta units. And we're currently servicing 4,000 plus daily users on our cloud service, Internet Filter. So this is our revenue model in a nutshell. Take 1,000 routers, we sell them for $99.99 a piece. So 100,000 on 1,000 routers, less what we paid for the routers. So the more we buy, the better the spread. So we should gross right around 60 on 1,000 routers just for the hardware. Then we lock in the subscription, which is currently $5.40 a month. So we're bringing in $5,400 a month, plus the hardware, minus overhead, and we do all of our own work. We outsource very little, so we keep most of the money. Total profits on 1,000 routers sold first year should be around 88,000. And then the magic, the residual, 64 the next year and the year after. And for this, we don't have to do a whole lot of work. Rinse and repeat. Under the hood, what makes Kibosh a little special, cloud-based internet content filtering. We manage and host our own servers. We protect Wi-Fi and carrier mobile internet, so that's pretty rare. We build our own blacklists. We have custom firmware that runs on any hardware, so we're not locked into any OEMs. And we built our framework for remote management from scratch, and there's other bennies. Competitive advantages, we got a debugged market validated product. It's a huge market, it's a global market. We have experienced engineering and leadership. Myself, over 20 years, Eric, over 20 years. That's production with customers, production experience. Dependable revenue stream, high ROI. We currently have customers in the US, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand. Competition, Kibosh is fundamentally and technically different from anything else out there. And we don't have time to get into it, we'll talk about it later, but there's nothing like it on the market today. Huge opportunity, obviously, growth plan, the usual. Marketing, need help with that, but I think that's my time limit. And in summary, Kibosh is a good investment, and we're making the world a better place at the same time. Thank you. You can get me at Scott at kibosh.net if you want some more information.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Scott, for sharing Kibosh with us tonight. I'm sure some of the things that you had to skip are some things that maybe there'll be some questions for you. So I'm going to give people a shot here to, so it looks like Scott, Brian already has something to ask you. So I'll start the 5 minutes for Q&A right now. Scott, it looks like the question from Brian here is like, what is your customer acquisition strategy? How much does it cost you to acquire a new customer, and what is their average lifetime value?
Oh, well, I mean, as far as lifetime value, the router, I mean, we have customers with us over 5 years, so I mean, they're happy with it. We provide a good internet experience. The router's a stable platform, so it's a long-term relationship, which is why we will replace the hardware for free if it ever fails. So customer acquisition, I mean, really right now, they just come to us. We haven't really tried to go out and get anybody, but I guess we could say listed on Amazon, and that would be 20% to Amazon to get those customers. And I hope.
Next question is, how does Kibosh compare to Google Family Wi-Fi?
So Kibosh it's a different beast altogether. It's a device, so you you plug this in, you get the parental controls, you get the dashboard. So you get some pretty unique information on one page. The internet filtering is probably what people like the most. It took us years to fine tune that. How is that better than Google's? I don't know. I'd have to test it out, but the overall experience it's very different. I mean, most of what's out there is a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and it kind of works here, and sure, it's okay there, but it's not the complete solution, which is what this is.
Okay. Next question is, how do you block explicit content with no config?
How do I block explicit content with no config? So I think I have enough time to answer that. You're using this router, our router, and the router is probably the most powerful piece in the internet chessboard. So once you have control of the router, you can do just about anything. So we take all the DNS queries, we handle all DNS, we take care of DOH, we do some other security stuff. So it's plug and play. You plug it in and that's it. It's done. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to set up anything. You can't forget it. You can't misconfigure it. It just works.
Okay. And then I think we have time for maybe one last question here. It's from Steve. How are you currently selling Kibosh?
Currently, people are coming to our website. Existing customers spread the word, and that's it. We're not really doing we just released product 2.0, so we're still sort of easing those out into the market. But I guess eventually we'll probably end up on Amazon.
Okay. Actually, it looks like we do have a little bit more time, so we got one last question here. What are your top customers and how do you market the service primarily?
Our top customers, we get all kinds. Schools, residential mostly, just parents trying to solve a problem in a way that isn't going to interfere with their life and cause additional frustrations, and that's the selling point. You just plug it in and it's done. You might not ever use the parental controls, but they're there if you want them. You will use the LAN speed and you will use the connected devices. There's a few other features that we have that make life on the internet just easier. It gives you some information. You can make informed decisions instead of just wondering what the heck is going on.
Makes sense. I think we just hit our time. However, because you did spend 5 minutes pitching, I don't think you really got a chance to kind of ask, what do you have an ask for anybody in the audience that will kind of help with Kibosh? Give you a few seconds to respond to that question.
What we're pitching for, what we're here for?
Yeah.
Investment for inventory mostly, but we also need help with, if you think you can provide value, if you see what we're doing, you get it, you want to be a part of it. We do follow a dynamic equity model, so it's anybody who wants to help and can provide value, we're interested.
Awesome. Well, Scott, thank you again for pitching. Appreciate it. And for those who are interested in supporting Scott and Kibosh, he shared his email. It's scott@kibosh.net, I believe. And obviously he'll still be available in chat and be in the break rooms. And with that, we will move on to our
Thanks.
final pitcher tonight, Robert Alexander of Breastscape. Scott,
I'm
if you
behind.
don't mind, please. I'm just gonna. Oops. Scott, could you unshare your screen? Thank you. And Robert Alexander founded the Breastscape app, which is a mobile app that generates music from your breath in real time, creating an immersive experience that effortlessly guides you into deep states of relaxation and meditation. And with that,
You nailed it.
Robert, looks like you're all set up and ready to go. So your 5 minutes starts now.
On the clock. Welcome, everyone, and thank you to Hein. Thank you to A2NewTech for hosting this event. I'd like to invite everyone to just take a deep breath in with me right now, pulling it deep into your belly in, and then just relaxing and breathing on the exhale. Because with so much happening in the world today, it can be helpful to remember the power of our breath. When I was working on my PhD, I came down with this medical condition that totally tanked my quality of life. I ended up traveling the world, trying pretty much every healing modality that you can think of under the sun. I lived in Bali for 6 months. What I found that truly impacted my quality of life is breathing and breathing techniques. And so what my team has created is new technology for a smartphone that provides support for deep, slow breathing, unlike anything that exists on the market today. So first, a little bit of education around your breath. So 50% of adults chest breathe. This is shallower breathing. It's 5 times less effective than diaphragmatic breathing. And it leads to all sorts of things, hypertension, insomnia, migraines. Now, if you take your one hand and put it on your chest, your other hand on your belly, and you just notice where you're breathing right now, you can actually detect for yourself, are you breathing into your chest? If you start breathing into your belly and you slow your breath down to about 6 to 10 breaths per minute, this is a clinically validated approach to help to ameliorate things like hypertension, like high blood pressure, like anxiety. It relaxes the nervous system. It activates the parasympathetic nervous system and it helps you to deeply relax. But the issue is, if you've been breathing with your chest your entire life and now you just suddenly decide, oh, with this new piece of information, I want to change the way that I breathe, it's going to take a while to retrain this habit. So what our technology does is it sits on top of the body and it reads the breath in real time. We have a fully developed app out in the App Store. It is a patent pending mobile technology that reads your breath in real time and generates music. It's a choir of voices, a sea of sounds, the ocean, sonic landscapes that evolve in real time with your breath. It's effortless biofeedback and also provides real-time coaching to help to guide your breath into deep, slow breathing. And it provides data analytics to help you get to the outcome that you ultimately want to achieve. And we started in 2017 winning this A2 Spark Bootcamp Award. And then flash forward this year, I think in the last 2 weeks, we've made more progress than we have in the last year. It's really been incredible. We landed a 100K safe with IdeaShip to help secure a second patent. We got 20K in TTSS funding, and we just got 2 marketing interns joining our team, 750 active users, and the testimonials. I love to see them coming in. People, even frontline health workers with everything that's going on with COVID, are using this app to help them to de-stress. And so it's really touching of my heart. And the way that we're entering into the market is largely driven by the beta testing that we did and by these early users that were currently using the app. So with bottom-up calculations, we're seeing a $14.6 billion high anxiety clinical population market. And so these are people who have your super high stress, which is increasingly more and more people in this day and age. We also have this meditation and mindfulness market, which has been booming for a long time. Since from 2012 to 2017, that market went up 300% in terms of the number of individuals who are meditating, and this is verified by the CDC. The way that we enter into the market is extremely important. We're starting in this B2C space, and we're offering the app in a way that's totally free for people right now, because we recognize that there is this global health crisis that's underway right now. And so we want more people to just be able to use this app and to support them in their health. As we move into the B2B space, we're going to do this very strategically. We're going to work closely with our advisors to be able to understand which markets do we enter into first. Alternative health is something that comes to mind. We're already building this vibrating bed to use our technology with a chiropractic studio in Ann Arbor. We have an advisor who works in the corporate wellness space. We'll be providing a lot of support there. And we've also now secured funding. We've secured this agreement with UCSF to run a hypertension study with them, and that'll help us move into the clinical space. And with our business model, when we do roll out our subscription, which will happen in a couple months, we're going to start at $11.99 monthly, $89.99 annually. The B2C, these numbers are based on existing market data. When you crunch out the unit economics, it works out to $22 customer acquisition cost and $66 lifetime value. And for the B2B, I'd mentioned this before, but I want to emphasize that we're going to have discounted user subscriptions that are going to be for things like if a company wants to utilize this app with their employees, and we want to have site licenses that are custom tailored according to each of the verticals that we want to enter into. And there are lots of meditation apps out there. There's over 1,000. And if you look at apps like your Headspace and your Calm, they've already have billion-dollar valuations, and it's a one-way stream of communication. Our app is the first to provide real-time feedback to the user based on your physiology that gives you custom content in real time based on where you are in that given moment. There are some other apps out there like Breath Player and Belly Bio that are starting to figure out the possibilities of two-way communication, but they're just way behind in terms of the comprehensive data archive and the ability to offer guided meditations. There is also a hardware segment out there with Muse and Respirate and things like Breathe and the Apple Watch. But to enter into these categories, it's $249, $250 to even just enter into the space to buy one of those devices. So we want to create something that's just a little more inclusive. Now, as we roll out, we're looking at our milestones in conjunction with each of the markets that we're entering into. So by the beginning of next year with the alternative health and the B2C launch, we're looking at 6K premium subscribers as a goal, launching corporate wellness, getting to 30K premium subscribers, and then with the 4 channels launched, getting up to 90K premium subscribers in 2023, with a strong research arm happening underneath all of this to be able to support things that are happening out in the market space. Myself, Dr. Robert Alexander, PhD in Design Science from University of Michigan. Ben Collins, my best friend and our co-founder and CTO, brilliant developer and programmer. We're currently seeking business development support and a marketing manager, as well as programming support. So I saw the programmers in the poll. Yeah, we definitely are interested in chatting with you. Our advisory board includes individuals who are—
Hey, Robert, I think we just hit the 5-minute mark, so I appreciate it. I would love to kind of give you more time because it's a really awesome app, but we'll give this, first of all, thank you for spending 5 minutes pitching this awesome app that I personally use and I love. But I want to open things up for, yeah, exactly. So we'll open things up for the next 5 minutes for Q&A. I think, I'm sure there's some people interested out there and learning more about Breastscape. So,
yeah.
So David just kicked us off. Thank you, David, for he wants to know about the advisory board.
Well, perfect. Let me go back to that slide. So Jason Aspar has founded a number of companies in the digital app space and taken them to exit. And he's been a really key advisory member of ours and things like contracts and things like entering into market strategy. Dr. Brian Athey, he's actually a real powerhouse at the University of Michigan. He started up the whole bioinformatics program. And so he's been a real key asset in aligning clinical research and helping us to meet investors. And Amy Coleman, she's who I mentioned, who is lead in the corporate wellness space. She's the CEO of WellSmart, and she's also developed some wellness programs for some of the leading Fortune 500 companies. So she's a good in for us in that space.
Awesome. We got a question here from Robert asking,
hey, Robert,
will you add any other materials to the app?
Any other materials? Great question. We're going to continue to add more content. We've got 3 different biofeedback experiences in the app right now. A great thing about the architecture of this app is that the music is all algorithmic, meaning that every time that you use it, you'll get a fresh and new experience because it's generated for you in real time. So the replayability goes up. And then also we're going to be adding more guided meditations and new things like courses to help people with the onboarding process so that they can intellectually understand how connecting with your breath is helping to ease their tension and improve their quality of life. Yes.
Awesome. So Brian here is asking, what's your personal goal for the business? Aside from the impact, which is inspiring, no doubt, what would success of the business look like to you in 5 to 10 years?
In 5 to 10 years, at this point in the world, it's even difficult to know what the shape of the world is going to be in 1 year. In 5 to 10 years, if we're looking out, I believe that if everyone had a deeper connection to their breath, and it's actually one of the core mindfulness practices to help people stay in deep connection with their bodies. So I would like to uplift global collective consciousness and help everyone stay in connection with their hearts. And that might sound like I'm saying that we should all become hippies and go out and hug trees. But there's actually profound medical research on our ability to just be aware of our bodies, and our ability to embrace emotions, and our ability to do things like reason and to handle stressful situations. So I would love, and to get a little bit more concrete, to be able to also move out into places like the hardware space. I mentioned a vibrating bed. We've got different tech that we're developing to go along with it. So to have a whole suite of hardware and to have the algorithms advanced enough where it feels like there's a guided meditation facilitator sitting right there next to you, coaching you through difficult struggles that you're facing in your life and helping you to feel held.
That sounds like a good vision to me. Any other questions here for Robert? I guess my question for you, Robert, is just to kind of reiterate again, like, what is your ask for everybody tonight?
Yeah, so we currently are fundraising, and we've gotten some recent support that's helped us to get some marketing interns. A really big shout out to that Spark and Eastern University internship program. So we're currently looking to raise $1 million to support in these various areas. And we also are looking to flesh out roles in a coding position. So people to help with the development of the cross-platform software and also to help flesh out our iOS build.
Okay, and then I think that rounds into Jasmine's question here. Like, when do you roll out on Android?
Oh, great question. So we're looking for the end of the year, and that's going to depend a little bit on our development timetable. So we haven't forgot about Android users, all of you out there. We haven't forgot about you. And that's the goal right now is by the end of the year.
Awesome. Okay. Any other questions for Robert?
Any other questions?
We got a compliment from Jasmine. Great idea. Thanks.
Thank you, Jasmine.
Well, cool.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah. So again, to Robert's contact information, it's up there on the screen. If you have any other thoughts to, if you can offer some support or any questions for him, feel free to reach out. And with that, again, first of all, thanks, Robert, for sharing Breastscape with everybody here tonight, and to the rest of the presenters for sharing your startups and products with us. And Robert, if you don't mind on sharing your screen.
There you go.
Thank you so much. And that is our pitches tonight. That's crazy. I'm really excited I got through this in one piece because I was very anxious about this at the very beginning because, you know, I want to represent well. So we're going to jump into some announcements real quick. But before we do the community announcements, which is basically, I just want to do the conclusion aspect, and then what we'll do is we'll allow people to share their community announcements. So if you have a meetup you want to promote, a position you're trying to hire for, looking for collaborators, etc., please feel free to type them into the chat below. What we'll do afterwards is we'll grab them and we'll put them up onto the meetup page for this month as well. But feel free to kind of share your community announcements in there. And as everybody's doing that, I'll just kind of run through the concluding stuff for housekeeping. A2NewTech is always on the third Tuesday of every month. Our next meetup, which I hope to have everybody join again virtually, is July 21st. So please join. We're still looking for pitches. We have one confirmed right now, but would love to have others share, whether it's your own personal idea or an idea that you think that should be pitching tonight or pitching in July. Please feel free to connect me with them. You can email us at organizers@a2newtech.org, and we'll get things coordinated. And just for those who are interested in pitching but not sure if you're in the right space, basic general criteria is that you have some customer validation, you've spoken with some prospective clients, and maybe you've even built out a prototype. So these are things to look out for if you're asking yourself if you're in the right stage to pitch tonight. And just think about the three you've heard tonight, these great pitches, and kind of where they are, and kind of use that as a benchmark as well. No surprise not to see any community announcements, so hope there'll be a couple that pop in here. So for those who haven't had a chance to kind of share your community announcements, you can feel free to, if you have something that come up later on, put them up on the meetup events as a comment, and that'll be kind of a great spot to keep it. We're gonna break out to our little breakout rooms like soon to kind of get people a chance to get to know each other. But before we do that, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And again, thank you, David, for supporting me through organizing the A2NewTech. I hope to see you guys in future ones. I've really enjoyed this. I enjoyed the pitches. So give a virtual applause to our pitchers tonight. And we're going to go break out to our breakout rooms. Hope you're able to stick around to network, and see you at the next one.